Jesse and Bob are two dudes on the job to brighten your day while gabbing away on a pod. Forget your frown, let's see what's going down in Beachtown.
It is a dog-eat-dog world, and we are all wearing milk-bone underwear, you crazy cats, you rabid dogs. My name is Bob, and Jesse Egan, my co-host over here, he's the bee's knees, the cat's pajamas, the cat's out of the bag, the train has left the goddamn station. We are Jesse and Bob. I'm one of those guys. Jesse, what's the skinny, what's the scuttlebutt, what's going on, my man?
Good to see you, buddy. Happy to be here. I'm excited for our new episode here on the old Beachtown pod, and I'm ready to get right into it, man. Are you how you feeling mentally this week? Mental health wise.
Well, I'm coughing. God
and
damn
physically, how are you doing physically? Are you? Bob's dying right now.
Joking. On my fake kombucha just went down the wrong pipe, and that is how we start the goddamn podcast. Why don't you? How are you doing?
Doing good. I thought it was a pretty decent week as far as grapes go. And if, for those that don't know, of course, this podcast is supposed to be a mental health podcast designed to cheer you up, and it's based on some advice I was given one time to track these different parts of your day and see if you have a more fulfilling day. And it's an acronym called G.R.A.P.E.S, which we'll get into in a second. But first, I want to give a quick disclaimer. Bob and I are not professionals. We don't know jack shit about anything except for pro wrestling and Spider-Man. So other than that, get your professional healthcare advice from a professional and get your nonsense from us. But we're going to give it our best shot, baby. And we'll get started right now with grapes.
We ain't doctors, we ain't saviors. Now enjoy the fruits of your labor. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Bob, I thought, just to shake things up a little bit, I thought maybe we could start in reverse and go backwards on grapes. As people may or may not know, if they've listened to the podcast, G.R.A.P.E.S stands for G, gentle with self, R, relaxation, A is accomplishment, P is pleasure, E is exercise, and S is social. And right. I want to start in reverse this week and start with our social and see how we did on social. I personally was kind of a homebody a lot of the time this week, but last night you and I went to the Comedy Store to be on the best of for at La Jolla Comedy Store, and for the second half of the show, I think I got some social in.
Yeah.
I don't know how you are, but like for me, before a show starts, I'm very nervous. I tend up going away from everyone and avoiding people to try to get my thoughts together. And I didn't really enjoy anything until I had gone up, and then after I went up, I sort of loosened up. And I enjoyed it and talked to the other comics, and it was terrific. So I want to also mention, before we get too deep, something incredible I thought happened last night.
I know what you're gonna say.
You and I were talking in the car a little bit about this phenomenon of coming back to comedy and coming back to the La Jolla Comedy Store specifically. And we got out of the car and we started crossing the street to go over to the club. And we both were sort of thinking about and reminiscing about an old comedy friend of ours, a guy named Dangerous Dick, yes, who we haven't seen in years, who, as far as I know, has moved to LA and lives there. And you and I were just sort of randomly reminiscing about him, and I think you even said, boy, I wish we could see him.
Yeah.
And then a car horn honked at us.
Yeah.
And we turned, and from the crosswalk, there he was in traffic in a car. I couldn't believe it. It blew my freaking mind. It was like unreal, this coincidence, or like we manifested him into existence. It was bizarre.
I was gonna say we manifested Dick.
Yes. We called out for Dick, and Dick appeared.
And for those people who don't understand, he doesn't live in the neighborhood. No. He's far away. He's several hours. 2 hours. If traffic didn't exist, he'd be 2 hours away. But he's 3 to 17 hours away, depending on LA traffic.
But he's like Candyman. If you just shout Dick 3 times into the mirror,
Dick shows up in your face.
Dick arrives.
You know what? You'll be in your own world, spacing out, and suddenly Dick taps you on the shoulder, and there's Dick right in your face.
It's just like reality. Dick just slaps you right upside the head, and
it's like a girl announcing she's single for the first time in years. Like Dick just taps you right on the shoulder.
Dick won't leave you alone. But I really did think it was an incredible, miraculous thing, and because I thought about this, like if you and I had driven slightly slower or faster, if it had been 1 minute difference, we wouldn't have been in that crosswalk at that moment to see him. It was just such a random, miraculous thing of timing. And I just thought it was noteworthy and weird, and maybe goes under social, maybe not. But
absolutely, anyway. If we had gotten a better parking spot, we would not have seen Dangerous Dick.
Yeah, I mean, any other factor could have changed that, so we didn't see him. But the fact that we were thinking about him and sort of mentally projecting this like thing, and then there he was, I just thought it was really, really crazy. So
it's all connected, man. Everything's all connected. We are all one piece of the same pie, vibrating to 3-dimensional frequencies, man.
Yeah, man, and it like really it reminds me too. It reminds me that I really have to try to think more positively. Like Lou Brockman always says, it's like you think positive and positive things happen. And just this weird thing that happened last night, it made me think, I'm very negative. And like I said, I couldn't enjoy the first half of this show. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But in any case, what was your social for this week? How did you do on that, you think?
Well, I've been using job interviews as my social. Like I found out that these jobs I don't even want. It turns out we want a rock star employee for $14 an hour. What kind of rock star you want? We want him to have vodka and piss all over his leather pants with his right ball out in the middle of the office. That's a rock star.
That guy's a rock star.
That guy's a rock star. We got the bassist from Cinderella playing at the county fair. You want to rock? No, you want someone who knows what they're doing, you assholes. No, I've been like jobs I don't even want. I found myself just like overly just like chatting it up like with the people interviewing me, just tell them about. But I don't really count that as much. I think my more fun social was I did a podcast with our friends Merrill and Bo, the Campfire. It's recorded in the mix. It's in the can already. I mean, I don't like to use the grapes to plug. So it's hard not to. And most of our socials come from comedy and whatnot. It's hard not to use that to sound like we're plugging something. Yeah. But that was fun because I don't think I've seen her in 10 years. And we were, shooting the shit, chewing the fat, whistling Dixie, waxing philosophical, shooting the breeze, rubbing elbows, greasing palms, say no more. We were doing the whole thing. And she's asking me, it's funny because she's asking me about old stuff I made and videos I made ages ago that I barely remember. So I'm just kind of like, what, duh? I don't know what happened in 2015. That was a lifetime ago.
Totally.
So many people have died since then.
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, tell me about their podcast. I did it once with them, and I just think they're both a lot of fun, and they're really high energy. I imagine you are getting questions from both sides, trying to figure out.
Yeah, they're both on either side, just ping pong and question. I mean, my head's turning more like it's like I'm watching Wimbledon tennis. I'm just all over the place, Daddy. But they had a dog, Arrow, this lovely little pug thing. I was petting the dog and having a good time. And Bo mentioned he he likes G.I. Joe and He-Man, and he's like, I had the Terrordrome, the Cobra bad guy headquarters. And I'm like, oh, and first thing out of my mouth, because you know me, because you know what I'm trying to do, I go, do you have it here?
Yeah.
Because I want to buy it, right? And no, he didn't have it.
Yeah. I must have it.
I'm like, do you have it here? Because he doesn't seem too attached to it. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we can get something. No, you didn't have any of them here. But that was absolutely tremendous. It was a good exercise and talking to people that I wasn't trying to get to give me money every day. So,
that's funny.
So I
still back to, the job interview thing. I mean, it's just a funny idea of someone calling for IT support on their computer and getting like Axl Rose on the phone.
Well, you know how Axl Rose searches for the internet, don't you?
How does he do that?
With his browser.
I love it. So
beer all week.
That's a good, it's a question because you said that there was a dog there, and I'm sure you were more interested in socializing with the
It
dog.
took me about 10, 15 minutes to pay attention to the bot. I had to really focus on dog. I want to pet this dog.
Yeah, which begs the question: do pets? How do they fall into this mix? You know, we never really discussed this in Grapes, but like I have 2 cats now here, and the other day I was playing with the neighbor's guinea pigs, and I mean there is something very calming and wonderful about pets and animals. I don't know if it falls under S or any of these letters, but
I think especially if 2 dogs were doing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing Grapes and went over their socials, I think we would count for them. I'm sure, right. Especially if they talk to not like humans who don't own them. If they talk to like the neighbor human, right. I think they would count that. Like, no, it was cool. I shook his hand. We said hi.
Dogs for sure, but cats are like me at a comedy show. They just kind of go, and then walk up.
I do the same thing, especially when I'm going up soon. Like I have a little thing like, okay, there's 10, 15 minutes till I'm going up. I'm like, hide now. And then you can bullshit it. I got to disappear because I have to, because Bob is more of an idea than a person. And what you have to do is, meditate in a certain way to get yourself on a other 5th dimensional plane to access those different type of planetary spatial units and what have you. So you have to do that. Mental health podcast, everybody.
So we did okay, I guess, on S this week. As far as E goes, exercise, I went swimming twice at the YMCA, which is 1 better than last week. And so if I just keep increasing, hopefully I'll be going every day. But Anna and I went and swam laps in the pool, and it felt great. And then both times afterwards, we went to the co-op in OB and got like healthy vegetables for lunch. So I know that for me, it's mostly diet is my main problem with my weight, but exercise always makes me feel better. So it's this weird thing of like the momentum you get from exercising makes you not want to eat crap. So we kind of did both things a little better this week as far as eating and exercising. So, and I love swimming. I just think it's so fun. I love going to the Y, and they don't have the hot tub open, unfortunately, but then I guess there's social distancing. I could swim in a lane directly next to another.
You know what it is? People don't know the COVID-19 virus and all of its Delta variants and its United Airlines variants and American Airlines variants, all the variants. The virus can't
Spirit
cross.
variants are the worst. But
The virus can't cross the little rope with the buoyant plastic thingies.
Thank goodness.
It won't go over that. Yeah.
That's good to know. So that rope is like one big mask in the water.
Yeah, we should have had those the entire time.
Also, Bob, I want to mention that like an elderly woman in the lane next to me,
LOL,
complimented me and said that she said, "You swim so smoothly." So it doesn't matter what I look like, you guys. I'm an athlete. Because I swim so smoothly.
That could have been your gentle with oneself for later on.
It might be.
I'm a smooth swimmer. Maybe I killed it.
I'm a smooth swimmer, according to this lady who doesn't know how to swim. Actually, she just walks in the shallow part of the lane.
She's blind in one eye.
And so I think she finds my swimming smooth compared to not swimming. Just walking. Yes. She's like, I swim in a clumsy vertical manner, but you are actually it's very smooth. So I felt good about that compliment, Bob. Nothing's tearing that down.
Fair enough. Oh geez, my exercise is I'm still clanging and banging and all that. I'm doing better at not eating so much. You know what? Let me do this now. I was going to save this for later. This is a mental health podcast that actually cheers you up. We've mentioned that before. It's a tagline and what have you.
Yes.
And what have you. I don't know why that's funny.
I don't know.
But, I always go on a spiel like, oh, I hate those YouTube, like NPR voice sounding videos. They're all depressing. And they're like, do you ever feel sad? And they show like a sad cartoon face. And you're like, is this you fucking sad loser? But like, you know what I mean? And it's like, so we try to keep it as positive as we possibly can. Is that not true?
I think so.
This is our 6th episode. It's our 6th episode. Have we always not tried to be as positive as we can, despite whatever problems we have? I think right.
We have our ups and downs, but yeah.
Well, that's what it's for. If it was all ups, there'd be no need for this.
Right.
Okay. With that said, I have a grievance.
Okay.
I have a grievance with American flag Oreos. I'm very unhappy. I am so unhappy with American flag Oreos.
Why? What's the grievance?
My grievance is not patriotism.
Okay.
My grievance is nothing to do with that. The fact that they're a proud sponsor, I don't know if they're a proud sponsor of the U.S. Olympics or the Olympics. I don't even know if it's just the U.S. team. Who the fuck knows? Red, white, and blue.
They sponsor the Chinese. It's weird.
They did. Well, this isn't like a Michael Bay film.
Okay.
Got us in trouble there. My grievance is that for the first time in my lifetime, in our lifetime, the cookie comes with like a gimmick. It has an action feature. The cookie explodes in your mouth. You see where it says popping candy right there with popping candy. Yeah. This is what happens. You have the red, white, and blue cream, which is delicious for a second. But then what happens is, and I'm not kidding, they have these weird crystals or something inside the sugary cream part, the best part of the goddamn Oreo. If my pauses were any more pregnant, my punchlines water would break. They have these exploding crystals. So when you have the cream, what happens is you feel the explosions, the little popping on your teeth, like there's firecrackers in your mouth.
So these are like Pop Rocks filled Oreos.
Yeah, sort of. Basically, it's like an action figure that has like a wind-up punch or something like that. Like that. Your cookies are not supposed to have 80s toy gimmicks coming with them. And for the first time that since I've been back in San Diego, look at this shit. I didn't finish the Oreos.
That's amazing. Can you open one? Can you open one for us and show us the inside?
Yeah. Hang on a second here.
Are they filled with actual fireworks? Is that what's
going on? No, you can't tell. You can't. There's red, white, and blue. Look at
there. The red, white. Is there blue there? Yeah, okay.
There's blue at the bottom. Yeah,
wow.
It's blending.
So which part do you think is the Pop Rocks part?
All the cream. I think it's all the cream.
All three of the creams, or one of them is the explosive?
I don't know, and I don't care.
You haven't tried doubling? You haven't tried a double stuffed? Extra patriotism and explosions.
I shouldn't be injured by the candy. I shouldn't be. The candy should not be kicking my ass.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need that in my life. So for the first time ever, with this half thing of Oreos, I can't finish it. Oreo is going in the trash.
Oh my God.
I just desecrated the flag, I think, maybe sort of. I hope that's not a crime.
You're not supposed to burn that when it gets old, are you? I'm not sure.
I might have to. There's going to be some protest in the middle of some street in the Upper West Side or something with just me burning an Oreo flag and some cop shooting me in the eyeball with a rubber bullet saying it's non-lethal.
Did the Oreos warn you? Was there any warning on
that? No, there's no goddamn warning.
How did they treat your stomach when they had fireworks in your mouth?
I don't think they're treating my stomach at all. I think they're abusing my stomach. My stomach has not been treated. What my stomach will be treated to later is regular family double stuffed Oreos.
It was funny because I thought this was all a segue of health and exercise, of saying I threw away these Oreos, but you have another pack of Oreos just to replace those. That's great.
Eating my goals.
That's good.
My exercise. We've done our exercises.
Okay, what about our pleasure? The P for pleasure. For myself, like I said, I enjoyed the latter half of that show last night.
Yeah.
I thought I was very nervous to go up, but mostly because I wanted to do all new material. And then I saw a young comic, and this is a good piece of advice for anyone who's a comedian, I guess, is to watch the whole show, because I was sitting in the showroom and watched the whole thing. And from the very early on, this one young comic did a joke that is just so similar to my opener. Yeah. And I never used to have a standard opener until I was on the road with Lou and Vicky. And then Lou said, you have an opener that works like every single time. So I started using this one joke as an opener. Now I'm stuck like going, what the hell am I going to open with? Because he just did it, So I was extra like in my head of like, well, now I got to open differently than having a tried and true opener, and kind of ease into that. I want to do this new material and I don't remember it that well. And of course I forgot, afterwards I'm going, I wonder why that new joke didn't work. and I'm standing outside in the alley, and I realized I forgot the punchline. I didn't say the funniest part. You reminded me, are you going to do the Stormcopter wedding bit? And I go, yeah. And I did it without the phrase, Stormcopter wedding. So of course the joke really didn't hit. And then I kind of bailed on the rest of the new stuff and went back to old stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff did very well. And then afterwards I watched the rest of the show and enjoyed it. But one of those weird things that even when you do your favorite thing, which is stand-up comedy, I can sort of find a way to be too stressed out to really enjoy it, which is just, I don't want to beat myself up too much, but I really think it's unfortunate, just to kind of go through life worrying all the time and not being in the moment of like, I'm gonna have fun up there. So anyway, ended up having fun up there, and that was the best probably pleasure part of the week, besides playing with some little guinea pigs. And how about you, Bob?
Well, I just tried that. I just got distracted by this mosquito that was just flying over my head. I was going to try to kill him. I was going to try to kill him for pleasure. I would have gotten so much pleasure out of it, because sometimes I could catch them in my hand. Yeah. Because they're slower here than the mosquitoes in New York for some reason. The ones in New York are faster because it's just a faster paced place. They're busier mosquitoes.
Our mosquitoes are all stoned.
Yeah, they're all stoned. They're all laid back. Like they got like little. If you have a magnifying glass, you can see little mosquitoes, jeans and sandals. Like on
they're wearing tiny Birkenstocks. Yeah,
it's like I don't know where this mosquito got dreadlocks or had the time. He's only alive for a day, but whatever. Be that as it may. For pleasure after our show, and I enjoyed doing the show. I was right before I went up. You reminded me I bring the Bob energy, because it was a very high energy show. Yeah, comics. I'm going to go off on a little tangent. Yes, watch the whole damn thing, because it's like a monkey fucking a football. Like You've seen it. Yes, you've seen it, but like, you're gonna watch it all day? No.
Perfect analogy.
I help people, Jesse, is what I do. I help people. What I did for pleasure when I got home from the fun show at Comedy Store Live, 906 Pearl Street, 858-494-96 reservations. Don't park in Vons. I watched the new episode of Loki.
Ah, nice.
What a nice plug. I watched episode 5 of Loki, and I'm not going to spoil anything, of course. But
I just want to say one thing. I'm spoiled by the fact that I found out that was the second to last. That's the penultimate. There's only one more episode. I can't believe it. I'm so bummed, but
that's a bum. Well, I'm glad I got to see my new favorite Marvel character, arguably the best Loki of all of them. My new favorite Marvel character, as I texted you immediately, is Alligator Loki.
I would agree 100%. I love Alligator Loki. I love the fact that he wears that crown like the other Lokis.
I think Loki mentioned at one point, how do you know this is really a Loki and not just some alligator that happens to be wearing this crown, or that you put the crown? Like which I'm glad they addressed that, and I don't care. I don't care at all. As far as I'm concerned, that is arguably the greatest character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that, like the little raccoon guy from Guardians of the Galaxy's got to be jealous of this.
He's number 2 now. Yeah, next to Alligator Loki.
I think all the tiny cute. I mean, Baby Yoda is probably mad at Alligator Loki.
Baby Yoda, Baby Groot, of course. Teen Groot. I don't know what the fuck he is. Baby Groot was the second one, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
The second Guardians. Who the hell cares? But I enjoyed kicking back and watching Alligator Loki and all those other people, whoever they may be.
Whoever they are. But I thought it was a fun episode, especially because of Alligator Loki.
Absolutely.
And I hope he gets his own spin-off show on Disney Plus. I would watch
Needs
at least 6 episodes of Alligator Loki.
Yeah, totally.
So that's a pretty good what were we on? P? What about accomplishment? I have a really crazy thing that happened last night. I was driving home with you from the Comedy Store.
Yeah. What the hell was going on? We're driving down. We're going down.
Get a call from Anna.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. She's really out of sorts. It turns out this cabinet in our bathroom fell off the wall and smashed on the ground. And I mean, this is a massive cabinet.
I've seen it. Yeah. It's
honestly, like, I just kept thinking, it's so lucky that one of us wasn't sitting on the toilet and got this cabinet to the back of our head, because honestly, we could have probably got killed, or one of the cats would have gotten smushed.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, this thing came down. It was like 11 o'clock at night. It smashed on the ground. And when I came home, it was like a disaster scene, and we cleaned it up together. And and I think it's a weird accomplishment, but to not die is a great thing.
Yeah, no,
And
totally.
then, to clean up this huge mess in the middle of the night. And the other thing about it was kind of lucky was like nothing inside the cabinet was really broken. That was the weird thing. It was like full of all kinds of perfumes and everything else.
Yeah.
And they were all like intact, which I couldn't believe because their stuff was everywhere and the whole cabinet was shattered to pieces. But what a crazy thing to happen. Like, honestly, like, again, just like the appearance of our friend out of nowhere, this thing was so lucky that it happened when none of us were in the bathroom. I mean, because it could have happened any time.
Yeah, totally.
I just was counting my lucky stars that she didn't get hurt by that.
Totally.
So
That's scary. And you don't want to, you don't want to go out like Elvis just on a toilet. Like that's the worst story because it's like so awkward for everyone, like at the funeral, being like, well, how did he go? Well, he was on a toilet and something crushed his head. And here we are. And that's that. And it's really sad, but they're trying not to giggle too because it's a toilet and people are people. You know what I mean? When there's a toilet involved, everything's funnier. So it's, what are you going to do? That's scary. I don't know what the hell is going on, but
it was a weird one.
Your cabinet,
that, and I don't know really if that's an accomplishment, but I didn't really accomplish anything else. So
okay, well, whoever put that thing up didn't accomplish that much.
Well, it was my brother-in-law, and he feels terrible. But the truth is, I think a cabinet like that is supposed to be mounted on legs or something. I mean, it was humongous, and
you know where I would put it? The floor.
The floor might be a good spot. Yeah, that's where it ended up. So that's where it wanted to be.
Inevitably, I don't make
its destined location.
I don't make the shit up. It'll be there eventually. Just what's going to impede its path will be up to your discretion, I suppose. I have an accomplishment.
Oh, good.
Are you ready for this? You're not ready for that. Yeah, okay. You're ready. Yeah, you might be half ready.
Now, wait a second. And now I'm ready.
Now you're ready. Our YouTube podcast, which is only a YouTube show, is now a podcast.
Is that right? You accomplished getting it on Podomatic?
Link. Yes, I got an account on Podomatic, and episode that goddamn mosquito. That's gonna make me look like a crazy person. So I just tweeted a link, and we don't record these. This is not airing live at any point anyway. So if you go at Beachtown Comedy, a link to the audio version, the actual podcasted version of episode 5, last week's episode, is currently that finally got done. I finally found a way to get around it without breaking the bank.
So if anyone out there has been dying to listen to this, but without having to look at our faces, now's the time.
This is where it takes off, and I think both of our followers are really going to enjoy that.
I agree. I really think the two Irish friends of yours in Ireland.
One's from the Netherlands. One of them.
One's from the.
Which is Dutch? I don't know what Netherlands is. What's the adjective for Netherlands? Chris, what is the adjective for Netherlands? Write it in the comments. What are we doing? He's going to too, which is hilarious now.
Yeah, either Chris or Anna, look it up. Those are our other two. Anna listens to it. But
okay.
Well, wow. So that's a big accomplishment.
Oh, and I cleaned the toilet. I cleaned my toilet. So I got a clean toilet.
Wow.
And I'm just blowing through all of them
that's really good.
Yeah, and I had a guy come and unclog the shower with a pipe because it was clogged with hair, which is hilarious. I have no hair, but it's just old hair because it's old. So the guy, here's what's really insane. The guy on the other side of me, his bathroom is on the other wall of mine. He has no hair either, and our pipes connect. So as I'm plugging away, when he takes a shower, what was happening is the sludge and water I could watch it rising in the tub as he's showering. And then I got my snake thing, which is not long enough, LOL, and I'm plugging away. And then later I'd hear him doing the same thing on the side. And as each one of us is plugging away with the pipe, we're both shoving old water and sludge back and forth until eventually we called the truce. I knocked on his door and I said, "Hey, I think we're doing this to each other because our pipes are connected." And so the guy came to my place because he has a job like an adult. So the guy came to my place and he unplugs the thing and he says, "This is it." And between the two of us, between me and the other guy, each of us have no hair. He pulls out this colossal hair wad and goes, "This was it the whole time." Like, okay, are we pointing fingers, dude? I don't know. Maybe you guys never cleaned this in forever. So now I no longer have a midnight at the Oasis shower. I got a clean toilet and we got an audio podcast. Those are my hat trick for the
It's the
A's.
triumvirate of
Yeah.
accomplishments. Well done, Bob.
Thank you very much. I'll be here all week.
That's incredible. Well, now that you have a clean toilet, if you need a cabinet smashed on it, I could probably help you with that.
Please.
What about our relaxation? I will say for myself, I tried to cut down on the coffee this week, because a lot of times I drink coffee in the morning and then I feel anxious for the whole day. And so I've been trying to cut down on the coffee to get some better sleep. And for about 2 of those days when I didn't drink coffee, I felt like I slept better. I also was swimming, so it's like a little bit of exercise, no coffee. And the only downside was I had just a brutal splitting headache for 2 days. Like my mom is the same way. If she doesn't have caffeine, she gets a headache. And I had this headache that felt like a lightning bolt was coming out of my eye. And I described it to Anna, and she said, that sounds like a migraine. I said, it is not a tumor. So that was the only thing. I thought it might have been a brain tumor. But so is that good rest? I think so. I rested well, even though I thought I had a brain tumor. So
I get the same thing. Similar situation. I get the same migraines. It's always the right eye, and it's really, really painful. I get a lot of those, and I always get them when your mom doesn't have caffeine. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's a weird coincidence.
Yeah,
we got to get her back to that drinking espresso again.
You got to send her some coffee beans or something.
Absolutely,
and get her all pepped up. That's childish.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Relaxation.
Rest.
Yeah. Yesterday or 2 days ago now, I made a big mistake. I fell back into my trap of taking that really long nap in the afternoon. I didn't mean to take. But last night, instead of going to bed at 3:30, I went to bed at 1:30, and I woke up at 8:30. So that's a good 7 hours. 1:30 to 8:30. That's human time. I'm not planning on taking a nap. We're in the middle of Friday right now. I'm gonna relax. I had comedy last night. I got a comedy show tomorrow in the north part of our county. So tonight I'm gonna enjoy another charbroiled chicken sandwich. Hey,
Rick and sandwich.
It's 600 degrees in this room. It's all getting the earth is boiling and we're gonna die. And that's I'm trying not to fry right now in this place. So yeah, I'm gonna enjoy the charbroiled chicken sandwich with some fries and a diet soda only. And I'll watch another movie probably for the purpose of this podcast.
Oh,
and
good.
Just kick back because tomorrow's another show. Tomorrow doing 15 minutes of jokes, and I love those one-off spot bar shows because you can just do your best stuff, and if you want to do something new, you can do it wherever you want to do it. Absolutely. But you don't have to worry about have they heard this, have they heard this, have they heard this, it's that kind of thing. You just be like, let me just. That's where the real pissing contest begins. It's like a monkey fucking a football.
Why is it like that?
Well, okay, that one's not so much like a monkey fuck. The first example,
the monkey doing that?
You tell the monkey to stop. He's a monkey.
Is this a pro wrestling slogan?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It more or less.
This is so weird.
It's when you have something that's like a car crash or a stunt or that has no real purpose, like the show Jackass, that's famous for. Okay, a guy's going to staple his scrotum to wherever you staple your scrotum to. Okay, well, I mean, even if you are going to watch it, you don't respect it. You're probably not going to pay money for it. And if you were dumb enough to pay money for it, you're not paying money to see it again. If you go to the circus when you're a kid, you know why the circus is when the circuses existed. You know why the circus was in town once a year, because if the circus was there every Friday, you'd be bored. You've seen it. You've seen the elephants and the tightropes and the lions and the fire ring of and all the trapeze bullshit. You've seen it. So it's a monkey fucking a football. I'm not going to watch it all day. I might stop what I'm doing and be like, oh, I don't see that shit every day. It's two dogs fucking on the side of the road.
I think you explained that perfectly, and
I'm glad I could help.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up our grapes here with the G, letter G. Got any good gentle with self this week?
That's the one where I'm a little lost. I might need a second on
save
G.
that till the end.
Save that.
I don't have a great one, but I will say this: I give pretty good advice. I don't take it. I wish I would take the advice. This is more of a criticism of myself, which is that I was at the store last night and some younger comic was asking about something, and I was mentioning, that that it's important not to worry so much and to try to enjoy life in the moment and every day is precious, and then I end up wasting so much time worrying and not doing that. And so I wish I could take my own advice. Really, I feel like I give people good advice, and if I could actually take it, it would be helpful.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, I think for gentle with oneself, I can be a pretty good self motivator. I'm pretty good about like my wallowing, and then I stop and go, hey, wait. For example, it's better if I use an example. This morning I wake up, my mobile device was ringing. Cellular, it works with satellites. We don't have time to get into it. My mobile device is ringing, and I answer it, and like my Android doesn't really work without earphones in it. So I just say hello a few times. I can't hear anything, and the person hangs up. And they leave a voicemail, and it's an LA number, which I don't live. So I'm like, oh, goddamn, the spam people are calling. And spam people will always call you most when you're waiting to hear about jobs. You will get all these numbers all day long telling you about your auto insurance or your social security scam when you're at the one moment you're waiting to answer the phone all the time.
Sure.
So it was someone, and I called her back. She wanted about an interview. It was another thing where it sounded like, oh, they're easily going to hire you, except it's another goddamn night shift position, which I can't take. So I had to stop her right away this time. I didn't even bother going through the process. I said, just let me cut you off right there. And I said, thank you, but if this is day stuff, please keep me in mind, blah, blah, blah. So then I sat down. I just want to go back to bed. All I want to do is go back to bed. I would love nothing more to go back to sleep right now and ignore that whole thing. And my computer, I put it in sleep mode because my computer is in sleep mode more than I am. And I opened it and I said, you are up, apply to jobs right now. And I banged out like 5-6 applications.
Oh, wow.
And then
That's
I went,
awesome.
yeah. And I like to do that rather than, stress about it throughout the day and everything else. And I would honestly, I'd bang out 25 of them if there were that many jobs to apply to. I'm just saying I hit every one of them that I can. And it's usually around 5, 6, 7 of them. And you'd be like, we're out of jobs that you can apply to. So I'm happy about that.
Self-starter, Bob. I love that.
I'm trying to be. I don't always feel like one, but then who does, I suppose.
That's great though, man. I mean, just like from the workouts, being able to work out every day, they were like, get a workout partner. And Bob's like, I don't need it.
Partner? Why would they just slow you down?
Why supposed to spot you? Maybe I'm not sure.
Spot me. Why don't you spot my nuts?
Let's do that. Well, those are our grapes, Bob. I think it's time to take a break. Now we don't have a sponsor this week to pay some bills.
We don't, but if you wanted to, and this isn't a sponsor anyway, I'm just saying, if you wanted to enjoy an ice cold Diet Dr. Pepper, which tastes just like regular Dr. Pepper, go to Coca-Cola.com, fill out the promo code Beachtown. Absolutely nothing happens. But hey, Diet Dr. Pepper, what's the matter? You're not knocking on our door. You don't want to take a trip to the Beachtown Hotel. That's too bad, because you know who's waiting in the wings? Pepsi Blue. Our good friends at Pepsi Blue just might have something to say about that. If you don't jump on it, Diet Dr. Pepper, Pepsi Blue, it's very refreshing. And you can go to Pepsi.com right now, enter the promo code Beachtown. And again, nothing happens. They don't know about this. But I don't know, Diet Dr. Pepper, Pepsi Blue is on your tail.
That's a word from a sponsor.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that could work. Do I do the jingle? Do I put the jingle in there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think you might as well.
Are you a goose? Are you a swan, sir? Now here's a word from a sponsor.
We are going to try a new segment this week, which we call Dining In.
Chicken fried steak and a steak fried chicken. So many treats to eat in my kitchen. Make it a table for one. Dining In.
So here's the thing, Bob, like now that we're going back out to restaurants again and, we're dining out a little bit, it reminds me that I need to cook more and eat in, because every time I go out, something happens that pisses me off and it's not worth it. And I just want to preface this whole complaining by saying that I waited tables for many years. So I appreciate a great server. I love a great server, but the worst is the waiter that wants to impress you with their memory by not writing anything down. How much does that piss you off, Bob? Like for me, nothing pisses me off more than the waiter going, yeah, okay. And then turning around and then 2 seconds later being like, did you say you wanted it's just write it. Like, here's the thing. you have to write it down at some point to submit it to the kitchen so that they can make it. So just write it down at the table. Save the time. Like, what are you doing? Like, why do people do that? And it's like we could have 7 people at the table and they'll still be like, what? Yeah, fish, burger, whatever. Yeah. And then turn around and be like, would you say iced tea? It's like, just write the shit down. It makes me insane. I don't know why they do it. It's not like I'm going to tip more because you got it right. Like, getting it right is the point. Like, that's the bare minimum, is like, you got the order right. It's not like, oh, you got the order right, oh, here's extra. No, it only happens the other way, which is like 9 times out of 10 you forgot half the order because you didn't write the shit down. And the other thing that drives me crazy is then when they do bring the food out, like, they don't know where it goes because they didn't write down any system. Like, when I waited tables, I wrote everyone in an order to be like clockwise, left to right. Like, I know who gets what food. When I come out, I don't just go, someone order lasagna, because I don't give a shit. I just give it to you, whatever, and I'm walking away. Like, that just drives me nuts. It's like, it's not that hard to come up with a system and just stick. I asked for some cocktail sauce, like, and the lady promised, sure, I know he didn't give you any. I'll go get you some. They never come back, ever. She never comes back. And yes, Bob, it's the same waitress that never brought me that muffin.
You knew right. What I was gonna do.
I've been holding a grudge for 20 years over this muffin.
The lady with the cocktail sauce is she's dead. She is not.
She's out to kill me. I swear. I mean, like, every time I see her, I'm like, no, because it's always something. Like, she brings me the wrong jelly. I've been getting the same thing. I order the same thing at this cafe for 20 years. And it's always this thing of like, I brought you the wrong jelly. Right? I'm like, oh, I don't want that, and she always goes, I can never remember. And I'm like, it's because you don't write anything down.
Yeah. It doesn't help that you live in a town of stoners.
No, it doesn't. Like, even the mosquitoes.
The mosquitoes are high as fuck.
But it's the funny thing, when I see the other waitress there, I'm like so happy because not only does she know my order without I don't even order it, but she still writes it down, which I respect. She's just like, you want that? Yeah, I'm writing it down. Like, there's no screwing it up, and it's right every single time. And I just love her. And
you may get a kick out of this. You may find this hard to believe, but just about once every weekend, for almost the entire time I lived in New York City, I went to this Greek diner. What other kind is there? I went into the diner, Tasties, on Ditmars Boulevard and 31st Street, if anyone gives a shit. I went to this diner, open 24/7, and I went there so much and ordered the same thing that every time I went in, the same lady at the counter, and I take everything. I don't dine out ever. I get everything to go. I eat at home. I don't want people, because I have this thing, like, I really actually don't like people seeing me eat. I try to avoid it if I can.
Why is that?
Wow, I don't know. That's like a really deep thing. I don't like people seeing me eat. But either way,
I'm getting into this on this therapy podcast now.
We should save that for another. But
no, we've uncovered something here.
The lady would look at me and say, chicken tenders and onion rings, and I would say yes, and that would be my meal. And because I have a joke that you seem to enjoy about chicken tenders and onion rings.
I love it.
Which is so much fun. And which is where that comes from, I guess, I think about it. And every single time, and this went on for years, chicken tenders, onion rings, tenders and rings. Mm-hmm. I just say, hi. I don't think she ever learned my name, didn't need to. That's all she ever needed to know. And she always knew she was getting, and even though it's takeout, I'd always give a decent tip. And food was overpriced as all fuck, but they were open, which is really the gimmick. We're open. Yeah. Other than that, unless you want to buy a taco out of a truck, like, and they do, people do. Yeah, I always hated that in New York City. Like, whatever. Street tacos are the best, man. And chicken out of a truck is no, it's not. You asshole. Where do they wash their hands? Where do they urinate and defecate out of their anuses? Like, where do they pee out of their urethras, or their penises? Because let's face it, it's really not a lot of women working a taco truck. Like, where do they?
Is that true? I didn't know that.
Maybe there is. I don't really know. But there's falafel and all the meats and just all these salted meats just being passed on this dirty ass New York sidewalk with all the scum and the vermin and the scalawags. It's just disgusting. And why would you? Nothing. It's like when they opened all the restaurants on the sidewalk during COVID. Like, everyone's eating next to New York City traffic. Like, do you not understand how gross that is? Like, wait. Oh dear Lord. So yeah,
and
I
then
don't
they
miss
order
that
a hot
part.
dog, so they got like garbage in the food and garbage on the street.
But only once in a blue moon, maybe like 2 or 3 times a year out of every weekend, would there be a different person at the counter, and I would dread it. Because then I have to explain what I want. And it's not a complicated order by any stretch of the imagination. I am a simple man when it comes to my meals. But you'd have to explain. You sure you want? Okay, so chicken tenders, and it comes with fries. I know, but I know it also comes with onion rings too. So can I just I'll pay it, but I just want. But traditionally it comes with fries. We can give you the onion rings and fries. I'm like, I don't really want the fries. Like we'll have to charge you separate for each. I said that's cool. You work your magic. I've accepted the fact that you're ass raping me on whatever this should cost. I've accepted the fact that $16.95 is not what chicken tenders and onion rings should cost. I've already given up. I'm here. It's 2:00 in the morning. I've quit. Just here's my money. Give me my rings and my tenders. I will be on my way. Let's never talk.
And then the real kick in the dick is that they don't write the order down. And when it comes back, you've got chicken rings and onion tenders, and that's not what you want.
Yes. Well, can I tell you this? One time they gave me chicken tenders and fries that I took home. And I didn't complain. I'm not going to go back and what do you mean? I don't give a shit. I still like French fries. I didn't give a shit. They gave me ketchup. So what the hell did I care? This is when they gave you ketchup, goddammit, back in my day. And I ate the fries and I didn't think anything of it. The next week I saw my familiar lady at the counter and she said, I am so sorry. After you left last week, I realized that we gave you fries instead of rings. So if you want the same order today, rings are on us. I said, you are awesome. You didn't have to do that. I appreciate it. I said, don't even feel bad. Like the fries didn't last either. Like they didn't survive the test of time. The fries went down. So,
you gotta love her, right? I mean, that's just a person who cares about their job. And I love that. Like, when you get a good server, it's the best. But to avoid that, we're going to be dining in. So that's dining in, everybody. Hey, it's time, Bob, for my favorite segment of the podcast. Of course, this is the segment where my good friend Bobby Hansen gives us a nice synopsis of a movie and his review of that movie. And I'm thinking that I've got it right now. Are you ready for at the movies, Bob?
Oh, I'm fired up.
Popcorn and previews, movies and reviews at the theater. At the theater.
At the theater, you wild savages. If you can't tell already, what are we talking about? We are talking about the 1985 hit 80s classic that everyone loves, gives them the warm and fuzzies. We are talking about the Goonies. And if you don't know, Goonies is an old slang we used to use that refers to racist kids. I watched the first 10 minutes of this movie, and listen, I'm not one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys who tries to uphold every old movie by today's impossible standards, and then you judge it because that's easy and long and boring. With that said, holy crap. They got the classic Asian kid whose name is Data because computers and Asians, and it's the 80s, so he has to be a wacky inventor. Just like the year before was Gremlins, the dad is a wacky inventor. Just like I'm sure there's another 80s movie I missed where somebody was a wacky inventor. Everyone's always a wacky inventor. Or Mark Wahlberg in the fifth Transformers, the fourth Transformers movie, because Michael Bay's out of touch. Everyone's a wacky inventor. Every goddamn one of them. Like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, his life is a wacky invention. Everything's a goddamn wacky adventure for absolutely no wacky inventor for no reason. I hated this movie so much for the first 10 minutes. I turned it off.
Is it because you hate wacky inventions? It does start with a weird contraption, right?
It
just
does.
To answer the doorbell or something.
That's how they let Chunk in the first time, and I'm going to get to Chunk. But the mother of the main kid with asthma. Asthma kid's mom has her arm in a sling, but her arm has too much slack in the sling, so she clearly did not break her arm. Nobody thought to check with a medical professional. Your arm's always up here. Her arm is just half in a sling, and they never really addressed why she kind of sort of broke her arm. We don't know what the hell she did. She probably got hit by one of Data's inventions. So anyway, Asthma kid is hanging out with his older brother who's like 14, 15, and always just working out. He's lifting weights. He's got a stretchy resistance thing, and he's just sweating. He's just a big pile of sweat. So asthma kid and sweaty brother are sitting around as stereotypical Asian kid flies through their house on a zip line from his house, which makes no goddamn sense. And then Corey Feldman, for some reason, speaks Spanish, right? And they bring in a Spanish lady who doesn't speak any English, Rosa, Lola, whatever the hell her name is, Rosa, we'll call her. And and a sling lady brings Rosa, the nanny, and says, hey, this is the housekeeper. She's new. Her name is Rosa. And at the same time, all the kids just go, hola, because she's Spanish. And they just say that to her, which is weird. And they all thought that was the way to make her feel at home. And then Corey Feldman, for some reason, he speaks Spanish, and he's the wisecracking, too cool for school kid. He's like the kid version of the heroes and Weekend at Bernie's that are not heroes at all. They're pieces of shit. So he's that character, because every 80s good guy was like Judd Nelson in Breakfast Club. And Tom Cruise and Top Gun. They're all just complete pieces of shit. If you weren't Stallone or you weren't Schwarzenegger in an 80s movie as a hero, you were a complete piece of shit, and somehow you got rewarded. I don't understand it. Be that as it may, he gives Lola Rosa all the bad advice, and tells instead of giving her real advice on how to maintain the house, he tells her, he tells her there's a sex dungeon in the basement or something like that, or drugs in the attic, or a mob victim is somewhere in the thing. But anyway, right before that, we opened the film with a bank robbery by an old angry lady that was in that movie with Throw Mama from the Train, with Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer as a Catwoman and Penguin, I think. Yep. And that's the one where he was twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they were both cops at like a kindergarten, I think. So they have that whole thing. There's a bank robbery. So there's a mom, and she's yelling at her two kids, and they rob a bank, and they go piss off. And then we meet the racist children. And then we meet the racist children, and they're all going to get kicked out of their house that day, right? And the bankers show up, and the bankers they're such evil bankers. They basically taunt the kids that you're going to get thrown out of your house, and we can't wait to throw you out of your house because we are evil bankers. And Asthma Kid is all upset, and for some reason they go in the attic because they're not supposed to, and they find a map to a treasure, and then there's different languages, but it's in like 500-year-old Spanish, but somehow Corey Feldman can read it as if the language didn't change at all in 500 years, which doesn't make any goddamn sense. But he can read it, and the older brother, who's sweaty, says, "Oh, you just don't. It's stupid, and you're dumb kids, and we're gonna get kicked out of the house." But the kids have that fighting spirit, man. We're gonna go find the pirate treasure. They learn about One-Eyed Willie and all this shit. And then the kids, they get on the bikes, and they use the resistance cord to tie the older sweaty brother to a chair somehow. And then the mom with the broken arm that isn't broken, and the Spanish lady who's freaked out by the place, they find him, and then the kids get on their bicycles, because they're trying to imitate Stranger Things, I think. Wait, it doesn't make any sense. No, obviously they're not. So they get on their bikes and they run around, and they find a map, and they're following all the different rocks and shapes, and it leads them to an abandoned restaurant where the killers are, the bank robbers and the killers are, and they find a bullet hole, and Danny DeVito's mom holds Corey Feldman straight like this, and she says, "You know what we serve at the restaurant?" He's like, "I'm Corey Feldman." She's like, "Tongue," and she sticks it, like she holds a blade like she's going to cut the kid's tongue out, and then she tells him to sit down while she makes some food, and gives them brown water, and they don't run away when she leaves the room because everyone's stupid. And then eventually they do run away somehow, and then I don't know what happens. They get underneath the goddamn restaurant, and Chunky, he says he has to go to the bathroom, and Chunk is what fucks up this movie. Everyone remembers Chunk. They all remember Sloth Loves Chunk and the Baby Ruth and all that, but in a Truffle Shuffle, Chunk slows down the entire progress of the film. We don't need him. He adds next to nothing except like being friends with Sloth, and they have a conclusion at the end which was worthless. So Chunk decides to find ice cream, and he finds the ice cream, but there's a dead body that falls on top of him almost. And then the older brother, the sweaty brother, meets up with the racist kids, but the sweaty brother had a date with this redheaded chick who was kind of hot. I don't know if I can say that because I think the actress, hopefully the actress was 18, and it's not that weird that I said that. But the whatever her name was, she left the rich spoiled boy, who of course is the son of the evil bankers, right? And she left that guy, and she's like, "You're a jerk. I want to hang out with the older brother who stole like a 6-year-old girl's pink bicycle with training wheels to pedal down like a busy road or something." It didn't make any sense. And then the rich kid tries to kill the sweaty brother by running him off the road, and they all laugh like this the attempted murder. But anyway, so now the whole gang, the 2 teen girls and the 1 teen guy and all the kids, are all stuck under these caves, going around and finding dead bodies and skeletons and all this shit. And then what happens next? So finally, there's booby traps. LOL, boobies, huh? And they almost die and get their heads cut off. And they find Chester What's His Nuts, who died 20 years ago trying to find the fucking thing. And then finally, they find a pirate ship, but they can hear the bad guys, Danny DeVito's mom, and the two thugs are after him, and they don't want to get hurt by the lady who gave up the Danny and Arnold Schwarzenegger as twins on the islands. So they want to get away from her. So they get onto the pirate ship, and then there's gold everywhere, and they find the treasure, and they're like, "Hey, we can take this treasure, right? We could take this treasure and be free." And at some point before that, they find the bottom of a wishing well where people used to throw their change in, and they find like a bucket. And then who happens to be at the top of the well but the rich kid, just staring down a well for no reason with his rich guy friends. And then a girl who like left him that night, she's like, "Hey, it's me. We're stuck. We're trapped. There's like 8 lives at stake here. Can you please pull the bucket up and save our lives?" And he's like, "No, LOL, because she would have sex with me or something like that." And that was perfectly normal behavior. And then so now they think they're going to die, and they get on a pirate ship, and there's more booby traps. LOL, I said boobies again. And then there's all the gold, and they go to grab the gold, and then the asthma kid tells, like, I think one of the other kids, "Hey, don't touch that gold. Take anything, but not One-Eyed Willie's gold. That's his." And yeah, this is weird too. The 16-year-old girl is hot. She pulls the sweaty guy into the dark to kiss him in this dark cavern of the cave, but she grabbed the wrong guy and she grabbed the asthma kid instead. So like the 16-year-old like kisses the 12-year-old girl, and the 12-year-old boy doesn't know, and she's weird. She's like, "I didn't know that guy had braces. What the hell?" And then her friend knew it, but they didn't tell her, and she laughed at her, and she let her friend commit some kind of statuary assault of
Statuary assault.
Something weird happened there, but it was hilarious because it's the 80s, man. They didn't care. They were too busy being racist or something. So then eventually the mom, Danny DeVito's mom, and the two thugs, they chase the kids, and now they have the girl, and they make the Danny DeVito's mom makes the pretty girl walk the plank, and then she falls off the bridge into the water, and she's going to drown, and you're not supposed to be aroused even if you are. And then the sweaty guy jumps in after her, which is good because he was so sweaty, he kind of needed to cool off. And then they're going to drown all the kids, right? But before they do, holy shit, what happens? Chunk and Sloth, the big monster that Chunk met, that was chained like some human guy who's got his face bashed in, is chained just to watch old TV shows or something and eat Baby Ruths or whatever the fuck. So they knock Mama off, and Mama's like, "No, you love me, I'm your mama." But then he realizes Mom was mean, so he throws his mom in the water, and the big monster attempts to murder his mother because they're the good guys. And then they get all the gold, and finally somehow they get out onto the beach or the lake or whatever, and the authorities have been looking for these kids for like 14 hours. And the evil banker says to the dad of Asthma Kid, "All right, you found your kids anyway. Sign this thing so we can have your house, and you got to go somewhere else, and everyone can be sad." And then the kid's like, "No, wait, don't sign it. Look, we have all these jewels," and they just empty their pockets or whatever the hell. Or another one kid, they got robbed by the old lady, but they fell in the water. But they got arrested for being bank robbers. And Chunk says to Sloth, "It's okay, Sloth, you're going to live with me now," which Chunk did not approve with his parents. I don't know how the hell whatever ended up happening there. But then everyone doesn't believe their story, and the cops and the reporters are like, these kids are telling these wild tales, man. This is all nonsense. And then they turn and they see the pirate ship sailing in a distance, and they're like, "I don't believe it." And then both Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger marry the two sisters, and that was the Goonies.
Very good synopsis, Bob. I enjoyed that. So tell me, what's your overall review of the Goonies?
After giving it 2 tries, mind you, because I shut it off.
You said you hated the first 10 minutes.
I did. And really, that was because the kids are yelling over each other. And it was just so gimmicky with the inventions and all the stuff. I'm like, I just don't have the energy for this. But then again, this goes back to my gentle with oneself. I'm a self-motivator. So I motivated myself to go back and watch it. And it started like, no, you have to do it. I thank you. And I did, and I'm glad I did, because since I got through that part and stuck it out, which just shows you never give up, stay till the fight's won, G.I. Joe. Arguably, the greatest film ever made.
Whoa, ever. My gosh, that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that is arguably an amazing review. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. I didn't expect that to be the review, but I'm glad to hear it, and it makes me want to go back and maybe watch the Goonies again and watch that first, see if that first 10 minutes puts me off of it. But thank you so much for that, Bob. I really
You're very
appreciate
welcome.
it.
You're very welcome.
And,
if you have any
sure.
suggestions, if anyone has suggestions, put them in the comments or in the comments of the Podomatic. If you're listening to the audio version, there will be an audio version of this, which will be tweeted. But go to Beachtown Comedy and tweet us your suggestions, or put them in the YouTube comments. Tell us somehow what you want to see, and I'll probably
communicate with us somehow. Use the S in social and interact with us, please. We need it.
And while you're at that, enjoy yourself either a Pepsi Blue or a Diet Dr. Pepper, and tell us which one you prefer in the comments.
Both great nutrition. Thank you guys so much for listening / watching to the Beachtown podcast. I have been Jesse Egan. You can find me at Jesse Egan Comedy on all social media. My website is jesseegan.net, and I have a special on Dry Bar Comedy called That's the Spirit. You can check that out. The other podcast I do is called Awful Neutral. It's a comedy D&D podcast. And thank you guys so much for listening. Bob, where can everybody find you at? And what do you got to plug this week?
Over in Earth One, where I used to do comedy, I'm performing at the Shuckling Duckling. You can check that out. I'm also, and that'll be it's a half stand-up, half improv comedy show. I will be obviously the stand-up part, and after that, stick around for the Russian improv comedy troupe. I love them, Commie D. So check out Commie D's comedy and mine as well at the Shuckling Duckling on Earth One. Oh, and dude, tomorrow's already the 10th.
I know. Far out, man. Just slide the rent under my door.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.